All right, my friend. You know how it is every year. Once we get within striking distance of the NFL draft, everything turns into chaos. Rumors fly, insiders leak information, and suddenly every prospect is either the next big thing or an overrated bust waiting to happen. And the truth? Most of it is smoke. This time of year is when front offices around the league start playing chess, leaking misleading info to throw other teams off, hyping up certain players to trade back, or even downgrading. Others they secretly love. It's a wild game. Some executives even admit it. One longtime GM once said, "We believe half of what we hear, maybe." And that pretty much sums up the vibe of draft season. But here's the catch. Fans like you and me are left to decode this madness. A quarterback drops in mock drafts overnight. A star receiver suddenly has character concerns. And a guy everyone praised all season, suddenly he holds onto the ball too long. Sounds familiar? It's hard to know what's real. But if you follow the Cowboys closely, you know how critical this draft is. And that's why it's important to cut through the noise and get to what really matters. Who can help this team win? So before we start digging into names like Shedeur Sanders or Jalen Milroe, we need to understand one thing. This time of year, not everything you hear is true, but everything you hear is said for a reason. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think pre-draft rumors are mostly smoke or fire? Drop your take in the comments. I'll be reading everyone. And if you're the type who tracks every move the Cowboys make, go ahead and hit that like button right now. Subscribe to our channel and enable the notification bell. Your support helps us reach our goal of 13,000 subscribers. Now that we've peeled back the curtain on all the pre-draft chaos, let's get into one of the most polarizing names in this class, Shedeur Sanders. Is he a franchise QB or just the product of hype? Let's talk. Let's get into it, because this is where things really heat up. Shedeur Sanders. You've probably heard the name nonstop over the past year. Son of Coach Prime, star quarterback at Colorado, flashy stats, huge media presence, and now some scouts are calling him one of the most intriguing and confusing prospects in the draft. But here's the big question for us, as Cowboys fans. Is Shedeur Sanders the kind of QB who could thrive in Dallas, or would he crash under the pressure? Let's start with the criticism. A lot of analysts say Shedeur holds on to the ball for too long and takes unnecessary sacks. That's fair. Colorado had one of the worst offensive lines in college football last year, and Shedeur got hit. A lot. But the tape doesn't lie. There were definitely moments where he didn't feel the pressure well enough. His pocket awareness still developing, and when a pass rush collapses, he tends to freeze rather than move. But before we write him off, let's talk about what he does bring to the table. The guy has accuracy. He throws with timing and touch, especially against man coverage. His mechanics are clean, and he's patient enough to go through reads when the protection holds. And you know what stands out most? Poise. He doesn't rattle easily. Even when things break down around him, Shedeur doesn't panic. Now, John Cooper, former NFL coach and scout, said it best. He's not explosive with his legs, but he's explosive with his mind. That's a big compliment, especially in today's NFL where mental processing is often the difference between average and elite. Still, Shedeur's not a runner like some of the other QBs in this class. He won't give you that dynamic playmaking outside the pocket like a Jalen Milroe or a Jaden Daniels. But what he could give Dallas is a solid, smart, and calm presence under center, if he's developed right. So here's the debate. Is Shedeur a product of hype because of his last name and spotlight? Or is he just overlooked because he played on a bad team and still managed to shine? And most importantly, would you take a chance on him if he slid into the second round? Should the Cowboys consider Shedeur Sanders if he falls to day 2? Vote now in our poll and tell us why in the comments. I want to hear your take, especially if you think he's got what it takes to compete in Big D. And hey, if you love breaking down draft prospects and getting deep into the Cowboys' future, hit that subscribe button. Every new subscriber helps us grow this community of real fans who know their football. Next up, let's shift gears and look at another QB on the rise, Jalen Milroe. He's got a totally different style from Shedeur, but is he a better fit for Dallas? Let's compare. All right, now that we've broken down Shedeur Sanders, let's talk about another name that's been heating up in recent weeks, Jalen Milroe. If Shedeur is calm and calculated, Milroe is fire and chaos. This guy is electric with the ball in his hands. At Alabama, he turned heads with explosive runs, big plays, and a level of athleticism that straight up reminds some people of Lamar Jackson. And yeah, that's a big comparison, but the flashes are there. Milroe is a true dual-threat quarterback. When the pocket collapses, he doesn't wait. He takes off. He can break a play open with his legs in a way that very few QBs in this draft can. That kind of mobility is a game changer, especially in today's NFL where defenses are faster than ever. But it's not all sunshine. Milroe's accuracy is still a concern. He misses throws, especially when he's under pressure or forced to read complex coverages. His decision-making can get reckless at times, and he's still learning how to stay composed in the pocket. You're not getting a polished passer. You're getting raw talent. And that's where the conversation really gets interesting for the Cowboys. Because when you look at Dallas's current QB room, you have Dak as the starter, but no true developmental QB behind him with that X factor. Would Milroe make sense as a long-term project, or is he too much of a gamble? It's all about fit. Milroe's style is almost the complete opposite of Shedeur's. Where Shedeur is methodical and precise, Milroe is aggressive and unpredictable. But maybe that's exactly what Dallas needs, someone who can create magic when the play breaks down. So now it's your turn to decide. If you had to pick one for the Cowboys, who are you rolling with, Milroe or Shedeur? Drop your take in the comments using Team Milroe or Team Shedeur, so we can see where the real support is. And hey, if you've made it this far into the video, it means you love deep Cowboys talk just like we do. So go ahead and subscribe, join the conversation, and help us hit that goal of 13,000 fans strong. Now let's pivot to something even more complicated, how off-field drama affects draft stock. And yeah, it gets messy. Let's be honest, talent isn't the only thing teams look at when draft day approaches. Behind the scenes, there's a whole layer of evaluation that fans rarely see. It's the invisible stuff: character, work ethic, coachability, and yes, the whispers and red flags that can make or break a player's stock. This year's draft cycle has been especially noisy, and one name that's drawn a ton of attention is Jayden Daniels. He's coming off a Heisman season, one of the most electric quarterbacks in college football, but there's been chatter, anonymous scouts questioning his leadership, stories floating around about his attitude. But here's the thing, none of it has really been backed up by hard evidence, just whispers. That's the challenge for teams like the Cowboys. How do you separate real concerns from pure noise? Because sometimes those whispers are just gamesmanship. A team might float something negative to try and make a player fall. It's dirty, but it happens. But Dallas has to walk a fine line here. You want competitors, leaders, guys who'll grind every day. But you also don't want to pass on elite talent just because someone, somewhere, said something shady without proof. And remember, the Cowboys have a history of taking chances on strong personalities. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So here's the real question. Should the Cowboys take a chance on a player with red flags if the talent is undeniable? Let me know your take in the comments. We're watching to see how you would run this front office. And if you're enjoying this level of draft breakdown, make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell, stay locked in, and let's keep this community growing. All right, now that we've looked at the off-field risks, let's wrap it all up. What's the actual plan for the Cowboys in this draft? Let's talk strategy. All right, let's bring everything together and shift the spotlight where it really matters. What are the Cowboys actually planning to do when they're on the clock? Sitting at the 12th overall pick, Dallas has options. A lot of them. But two names keep coming up: Matthew Golden and Teddy Roa. McMillan. Golden's got that burner speed. He's a threat to take the top off any defense. McMillan? He's a physical presence with strong hands and a huge catch radius. It's the classic debate. Do you go for explosiveness or reliability? But let's not stop there. There are some sneaky good prospects who might fall, and the Cowboys need to be ready. Think Travis Hunter, one of the most versatile players we've seen in years. Cornerback and wide receiver? He could be a generational chess piece if used. Right. Then there's Abdul Carter, a linebacker with elite instincts and athleticism. Both guys could slide depending on how the board shakes out. So here's where it gets interesting. Would the Cowboys consider trading up? Maybe for a blue-chip talent that unexpectedly starts to drop? Or do they play it safe, stay put, and grab whoever lands in their lap? And of course, we can't ignore the quarterback conversation. If someone like Shedeur slips to day 2, do you pull the trigger? It's a gamble. But it might be one worth taking, especially with Dak's future still a question mark after this season. So now it's your turn. Who would you draft if you were in the Cowboys' war room? Golden? McMillan? A defensive stud? Or maybe you'd go bold and snag a QB like Shedeur? Drop your pick in the comments. Let's build a mock draft together down there. And hey, if you've enjoyed the deep dive, make sure to subscribe and share this video with other Cowboys fans. We're closing in on $13,000 subscribers, and every click helps this community grow stronger. That's it for today, but the conversation doesn't stop here. Keep the comments rolling. We'll be reading every one.